Hey guys, tonight we're diving into one of history's most intriguing figures, the Black Prince of England. Ever wondered how a man, so young yet so powerful, could carve his name into the annals of medieval legend? The Black Prince was not just a warrior. He embodied courage, brutality, and honor in an age of political chaos and war. His legacy still echoes today. But before we begin, if you enjoy uncovering the untold stories of history, make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. Let us know your thoughts and where you're watching from. We'd love to hear your take on this legendary tale. As the story unfolds, imagine yourself in the year 1330, walking slowly through the royal halls of the Palace of Woodstock, the grand residence nestled in the heart of medieval England. You are surrounded by stone walls, their coldness softened by the warm glow of flickering torchlight that dances across tapestries of bright reds and golds. The palace hums with activity, the sound of distant voices, the soft clink of armor, and the muted shuffle of feet across the stone floors. There's a sense of anticipation in the air, as if something important is about to happen. The air smells faintly of candle wax and the earthy scent of the outdoors, mingling with the sweet, rich fragrance of fine meals being prepared in the kitchens. You are in the presence of royalty, for this is the childhood home of Edward, son of the mighty King Edward III of England. And in just a few short years, this young boy, still a child, will become one of the most legendary figures in medieval history, known forever after as the Black Prince. But at this moment, Edward is just a boy, living quietly amidst the splendor of royal life, unaware of the greatness that awaits him. As you follow the stone corridors, you can hear the echoes of court life all around you, the soft murmur of nobles engaged in conversation, the occasional burst of laughter, the rustle of silk and velvet as courtiers pass each other. The royal court is a place of constant motion, of important decisions being made, of plans being drawn and alliances forged. It's a world of politics, power, and privilege, and Edward's place within it is already beginning to take shape. The atmosphere is one of both grandeur and restraint, where every gesture and word carries weight. You can almost feel the weight of the crowns, the expectations of nobility, pressing down on young Edward's shoulders, even though he's still just a child. You may wonder how a boy so young, only a few years old at this point, could possibly understand the demands of being a royal heir. But perhaps, in a way, he already does. He feels it in the eyes of the courtiers who observe him, the way his every action is watched, studied, measured. The scent of their approval or disapproval lingers in the air, even if he doesn't fully understand it yet. His family, too, plays an important role in shaping his early years. His father, Edward III, is a towering figure in English history, strong and determined, with the weight of a kingdom resting upon his shoulders. The king is ambitious, with dreams of glory that stretch far beyond the shores of England. You can imagine the father's pride as he looks at his son, knowing that one day, Edward will take up the mantle of leadership, carrying the legacy of the House of Plantagenet forward. But there is also a quieter side to Edward's upbringing. His mother, Queen Philippa of Hainault, is a gentle and wise woman, deeply concerned with shaping her son's character. She ensures that young Edward is not only taught the art of war and strategy, but also the importance of chivalry, honor, and virtue. Her lessons are soft but firm, imparted through stories of knights and kings, through the values of duty and respect that will form the backbone of his identity. As she speaks to him, you can imagine her voice low and soothing, like a lullaby that carries with it the weight of centuries of tradition. And then there are the servants, those who keep the palace running smoothly, tending to the needs of the royal family. You can hear the rustle of their footsteps as they move through the corridors, their voices muffled as they prepare the young prince's lessons, his meals, and his daily activities. Sometimes you'll see them in the background, working quietly, and you might wonder what their lives are like, far from the spotlight of royalty. But they too are part of the world that shapes Edward's future, teaching him about humility and service, even as he is groomed for greatness. As you walk with Edward through the quiet halls, you notice how his world feels both grand and intimate. The chambers are lavish, with richly decorated tapestries depicting scenes of battle and victory. But they are also filled with small, everyday moments. The sound of soft chatter in the royal gardens, the occasional laughter of children running through the halls, or the crackling of a fire in a hearth. These are the sounds of a childhood, shaped by both opulence and the quiet rhythm of royal life. Edward, as a child, is not without his playfulness. You see him running through the palace grounds, his small feet pattering against the cobblestone walkways as he plays with his fellow royal children. The air is filled with the sounds of birds chirping in the trees, and the faint hum of bees working lazily in the royal gardens. Edward may be destined for greatness, but in this moment, he's simply a boy, curious, joyful, and full of life. He has his tutors, of course, wise men who teach him the languages of the court, the art of diplomacy, and the skills needed to rule one day. The lessons are long, and they are often dull to young Edward, but they are necessary, and you can imagine how the older scholars, their robes rustling as they speak, explain the history of England to him, drawing maps of distant lands and recounting tales of ancient kings and warriors. These stories, full of adventure and valor, fill his young mind with visions of the world beyond the royal court. He begins to dream of knights in shining armor, of battles won and lost, of the glory that awaits those who fight for honor and justice. Even as he learns the arts of diplomacy, Edward is beginning to understand that power doesn't come easily. There is always pressure on him, and even as a child, he can feel it. The weight of his destiny, the expectations of his father, the unspoken demands of the court, all of this wraps around him like a cloak that he can never quite shake off. The scent of polished armor and freshly inked scrolls lingers in the air, reminders of the royal world he's destined to inherit at times, though there are moments of escape. Quiet afternoons spent by the riverside, where the soft lapping of water against the banks provides a peaceful contrast to the busy court. Here, away from the watchful eyes of the courtiers, Edward is free to imagine what lies beyond the palace walls. The world outside is vast and mysterious, filled with people, places, and adventures he has yet to experience. You can almost hear the sound of the breeze rustling through the trees as Edward sits, staring out over the water, his thoughts far away. In these moments, you can feel the stirrings of the man he will one day become, the man who will lead armies into battle, who will become a symbol of chivalry and honor across Europe. Yet, even in these quiet moments, the call of greatness is always there, tugging at the edges of his consciousness. He knows, even in his youth, that he is different from other boys. The weight of his future looms over him, and while it doesn't burden him completely, it shapes every part of his life. The taste of honey from royal feasts, the feel of fine silks against his skin, and the weight of gold coins in his hand all serve as reminders that he is part of a world larger than himself. His family's expectations, his father's hopes, and the legacy of his name are constant companions, even as he plays and dreams. But as with all childhoods, there are moments of pure joy. Laughter spills from the royal halls as Edward and his friends play games of skill and wit. You can hear their footsteps echoing off the marble floors, the clatter of wooden swords as they practice mock battles, imagining themselves as knights defending the kingdom. The sound of their carefree laughter drifts through the palace like music, a fleeting reminder that even in a life of royal duty, there is room for play. And in these moments, as you walk beside Edward, you can almost forget the pressures and the expectations. You can imagine the warmth of the sun on your skin as you run through the gardens, the taste of sweet fruits freshly picked, and the peace of a world that is still, for now, free from the burdens of kingship. But, like all childhoods, this one too will pass, and soon enough, young Edward will begin to take on the mantle of his destiny. As you leave the gardens behind, the sound of birds fades, and the soft murmur of the court grows louder once again. Edward is no longer just a boy. He is a prince, heir to the throne of England, and his world will soon expand beyond the peaceful halls of Woodstock. But for now, in this quiet moment, you can imagine the life he's living, full of the sights, sounds, and scents that define a royal childhood, and the weight of history just beginning to take root in his heart. You're standing on the edge of something much larger than you, something that stirs the heart with both anticipation and trepidation. Imagine the sound of horses' hooves in the distance, the soft clinking of metal as soldiers prepare for battle, and the scent of leather and oil hanging in the air. The royal court has been a world of education and learning, but this is different. This is real. This is where Edward's story, your story, begins to take shape. The Crusades, You can hear the faint murmur of voices, hushed and reverent, as the soldiers gather in the courtyard of the palace. The soft flicker of torches casts shadows across the stone walls, their orange light dancing across the faces of men who are more than just soldiers. They are knights, men of honor, of chivalry. They are warriors, and you can feel the weight of their purpose. These men, your father's knights, have answered the call to join a larger cause. The Crusades have become a symbol of hope and duty, of a promise to reclaim lands far away, to fight in the name of Christ and kingdom. The sound of a sword being drawn rings in the air, sharp and clear. You can see Edward, only a boy, watching intently as his father, King Edward III, prepares to lead the charge. The weight of the moment presses on you both, the air thick with the knowledge that this is history being made. You feel it in the stillness that comes before a storm. There's an energy here, a quiet sort of tension. It's not just the anticipation of a battle, it's the call to something greater, a summons to step beyond the comforts of court life, and into the world of honor, glory, and sacrifice. Edward, still so young, stands at the threshold of this new world. His heart beats faster as he dons his armor, the sound of metal fitting into place, the slow, deliberate movements as his armor is secured, the soft hiss of the leather straps being pulled tight. All these sounds fill the air, each one marking his transformation. The once soft, untested boy is becoming something else, something more. His destiny, laid out before him in the form of battles and honor, takes shape with every movement. You can almost feel the weight of the armor on his shoulders, heavy but necessary, as if it holds more than just protection. It holds expectations, his father's expectations, the kingdom's expectations, and even his own. As he looks around, there's a sense of both awe and uncertainty. The knights around him, fully armored, their faces obscured by their helms, seem like giants. The flickering torchlight reflects off their armor, making them appear almost otherworldly. Each man has his own story, his own reason for answering the call. But together, they are a force, ready to march into the unknown. And Edward, in this moment, feels that pull. He feels the weight of his lineage, the pull of the banner of the Crusades, and the stirring sense that this is his time, his calling. You might imagine him in that moment, standing tall among the men, his young face a mixture of curiosity and resolve. His mind is racing, filled with visions of what lies ahead. There's no way to know exactly what awaits him, but you can sense the excitement that stirs in his chest. The sound of the knights preparing, their voices low but determined, is like a heartbeat, a rhythm that resonates through the stone walls of the courtyard. Every sound, every shift of the armor, every low murmur is a reminder that he is stepping into a larger world, one that demands bravery, strength, and wisdom. In the background, there's the soft, almost melodic sound of a blacksmith's hammer as he makes final adjustments to the weapons. The clang of steel on steel fills the air, a reminder that the Crusades are not just an abstract idea, but a very real, very dangerous reality. The sword, sharp and deadly, is a tool of both protection and destruction, and as Edward grips his own sword, you can feel the connection he has to it. It's more than just a weapon, it's a symbol, a link between him and those who have come before him. It's the legacy of his family, of his father, and of the many generations of warriors who have fought to protect their lands and their faith. The call of the Crusades has been heard in every corner of Europe, a clarion cry to arms, and Edward is caught in its grip. You might feel a shiver of anticipation as the procession begins. The soldiers, each one moving with purpose, the rhythmic sound of their footsteps echoing in the quiet courtyard, are about to embark on a journey that will take them across seas and through lands filled with danger. But for Edward, it's more than just a journey. It's the moment when he steps away from the comforts of royal life and into a world of blood and honor. His father's voice rises above the quiet chatter, deep and commanding. "You will be a knight," he tells Edward, his words carrying weight. "You will carry our banner with pride, and you will fight for what is right. This is your duty." The king's words hang in the air, and in them you can hear both pride and expectation. There is no room for hesitation, no time for second thoughts. Edward, still so young, hears this and feels the stirrings of something deep within him. A promise, a bond, a responsibility that transcends his years. As the soldiers prepare to depart, the mood shifts. The excitement of preparation gives way to a quieter, more solemn tone. The flickering of torches seems to grow dimmer, as if the night itself holds its breath in anticipation of what is to come. You might imagine the weight of the air as it presses in on the courtyard, thick with the knowledge that the men about to leave will face dangers they cannot yet fully comprehend. The sky above is clouded, but the stars still peek through, as if watching over the men who are about to embark on their fateful journey. Edward's first steps into this larger world are not without their weight. You can see him, standing there, his helmet in hand, feeling the cool night air against his face. He's both nervous and excited, but also aware of the great responsibility that rests on his shoulders. The future of his kingdom, and of Christendom, may well depend on men like him, on the decisions they make in moments like this. As the last pieces of armor are secured, you can feel the pull of destiny wrapping around him, shaping him into something more than just a boy. And then, just as the soldiers begin to march, you hear the sound of hooves approaching. A single rider enters the courtyard, one of Edward's trusted knights. His steed moves gracefully, its hooves softly tapping against the stone, the sound echoing through the air like a signal. The rider dismounts, his cloak billowing in the breeze. His face is covered by a helm, but you can tell by the way he carries himself that he is a man of experience, someone who has seen battles, someone who knows what awaits. He approaches Edward and places a hand on his shoulder, a gesture of encouragement, of camaraderie. "You are ready," the knight says, his voice low and steady, like the calm before a storm. "The path you walk will not be easy, but it is the path of honor. It is the path of those who fight for something greater than themselves." As you listen to the knight's words, you can feel the weight of them settle on Edward. It's a promise, a reminder that this journey is more than just a personal quest. It is part of something much larger, a movement that spans across nations, across cultures, and across time. Edward's heart beats a little faster, his resolve strengthening with each passing moment. This is not just a battle. This is history in the making, and he is a part of it. The soldiers begin to form ranks, their armor gleaming under the torchlight, their swords clinking softly as they adjust their positions. The atmosphere in the courtyard is filled with a sense of unity, a shared purpose that binds them together. You can almost feel the camaraderie, the brotherhood, as the knights prepare to embark on this journey together. The rhythm of their movements is hypnotic, like a dance of steel and leather. And in this moment, everything feels inevitable. There's no turning back now. They are bound for the East, bound for the Holy Land, bound for a world that will shape them in ways they cannot yet understand. And then, as if in response to an unspoken command, the sound of the horses' hooves begins to rise, filling the air with their steady beat. One by one, the soldiers mount their steeds, their figures silhouetted against the flickering torchlight. The sounds of their movements, the soft creak of leather, the rustle of cloaks, and the thud of hooves, all blend together in a symphony of anticipation and resolve. You can feel it now, the weight of history pressing down on Edward, the moment of his first steps into a world of war and glory, a world where he will shape his destiny and carve his name into the annals of time. With a final glance at his father, Edward, the young prince, mounts his horse, his heart steady now, his mind clear. The torches flicker one last time as the procession begins, and the sound of the hooves fades into the night. Edward's journey, and the world's, is just beginning. The air is thick with anticipation, and you can feel it settling around you, like the gentle pressure of a heavy fog. You stand at the edge of the battlefield, watching as the morning mist slowly lifts, revealing the rolling fields of Crecy. The sky, soft with the first light of dawn, casts a pale glow over the land. There's a calmness to the scene, a quiet stillness, but beneath it, you sense the hum of something far more significant. Something momentous is about to unfold. You are beside Edward, still young, but already a leader in his own right. His eyes scan the horizon, his expression focused, almost serene. The weight of responsibility doesn't seem to burden him here. Instead, he moves with the confidence of someone who has spent countless hours preparing for this moment. Today will be the day when he earns his place in history. The soft crunch of dirt beneath your boots is all that can be heard for a moment. The distant sounds of the camp settling, the quiet chatter of soldiers, the flickering of fire, the hum of preparation, all fade into the background as the focus shifts to the army gathering in neat ranks. You feel the shift in the air, like the calm before a storm. The tension is palpable but calm, like the stillness of a lake before a ripple stirs its surface. In the distance, the French army moved slowly across the field, their banners rippling in the wind, the glint of sunlight catching on their armor. You can see them lining up, their knights mounted and ready. The sound of their horses is distant, but you feel the rumble of their approach in your bones. Edward watches them, his gaze sharp, taking in every detail, every movement. He is ready, but more than that, he knows what must be done. There is a strategic simplicity to the way Edward approaches this battle. The battle lines have been drawn, and you can see the formation of his men, their shields and spears positioned in rows that stand like a living wall. You can hear the faint sound of armor as the soldiers shift their positions, a metallic whisper that fills the air. The English archers are already in place, their longbows poised and ready to unleash their strength. They stand with a quiet resolve, their eyes focused ahead, their hands steady as they nock their arrows. The ground beneath them feels solid, as if the earth itself is steadying their resolve. And then, you can hear the first rustle of movement, the sound of arrows slicing through the air, sharp and sure. The archers release their volleys with a sound like a distant storm, the arrows whistling as they soar toward the enemy. The French knights, confident in their numbers and their armor, charge forward, their horses' hooves drumming a steady beat against the earth. But the arrows rain down with precision, finding their mark in a way that shakes the battlefield to its core. You watch as Edward stands at the heart of the English forces, his gaze unwavering, his posture steady. His leadership is subtle, but undeniable. He is not at the front, charging alongside his men. Instead, he stays back, letting the soldiers do what they've trained for, guiding them with a calm but firm presence. The strategy is simple, yet brilliant. Use the archers to break the enemy's charge, and then let the knights and infantry do what they do best. Edward has set the stage for his first great victory, and it's already unfolding before your eyes. As the French knights advance, the first signs of the battle's intensity begin to appear. The ground shakes beneath the pounding of hooves, the cries of men fill the air, and the tension thickens, like a storm cloud gathering. You can hear the clash of metal as swords and shields meet. But even amidst the noise, there's a quiet rhythm to it, a sort of pulse that beats through the very earth. The distant sounds of the battle echo like a gentle wave breaking against a shore. It's a natural, almost soothing rhythm, if you allow yourself to focus on it. Even as chaos unfolds around you, Edward's archers continue their work, their arrows like a relentless tide, washing over the advancing French. The archers are calm, focused, each one an extension of Edward's will. You can almost hear their quiet breaths as they release their arrows, each one finding its mark with a deadly precision. The wind picks up slightly, and the sound of the arrows slicing through the air becomes a steady hum, a soft but powerful song of victory in the making. The French knights, once so sure of their success, now falter. Their charge has been slowed, their armor pierced by arrows. The ground, slick with the weight of battle, becomes a treacherous place for them to fight. You feel the shift in momentum as Edward's forces stand firm. There's no frantic panic, here only steady, calm resolve. The English soldiers, archers, and knights alike are working as one, their movements almost fluid, as though they've rehearsed this dance 1,000 times over. The tension of the battlefield remains, but you sense something else too, the realization that Edward's strategy is working, that this battle is turning in his favor. As the battle presses on, you notice Edward's own role begin to unfold more clearly. He moves amongst his men, giving orders with quiet authority, his voice carrying just enough to be heard above the clamor, but never shouting, never demanding. His presence is felt more than his voice. There's a sense of calm in his approach, an assurance that spreads to those around him. He's a young leader, but his actions are already shaping him into the man he will become, calm under pressure, decisive in the moment, and always thinking a step ahead. You see him now, guiding the knights with steady hands, his expression, focused, almost peaceful in the chaos. He is at the heart of it, yet somehow detached, watching his men carry out the plan he set in motion. He knows that this victory will define him, but he remains composed, understanding that the battle isn't won with a single charge, it's won through patience, through precision, through trust in his soldiers. The French, for all their numbers, are faltering, their charge broken. The battle is turning in Edward's favor, and there is something deeply satisfying in the calm inevitability of it all. With the French knights retreating, Edward's men push forward, their resolve unshaken. The sounds of the battlefield begin to shift as the tide turns, the once dominant cries of the enemy now turning into the panicked retreat of those who realize their defeat. The battlefield, still echoing with the clash of weapons, begins to quiet down. The tension that had gripped the air slowly dissipates, replaced by the soft sounds of victory footsteps on the ground, the soft clatter of armor, the low murmurs of soldiers as they regroup. As you stand there, with Edward, you sense the weight of the moment. The Battle of Crecy, his first major victory, has not been won by brute force or blind aggression. No, it was won through calm, through strategy, through the quiet determination of a young prince who saw the world not as a battlefield, but as a place to test his will. You can almost feel the relief that washes over Edward as the realization sets in the weight of his leadership has shaped this victory. His first taste of triumph is not about personal glory. It's about the pride of knowing that his decisions, his leadership, made this happen. This victory will stay with him, forever marking the beginning of his legacy. And as the day draws to a close, the sounds of battle fade into the distance, replaced by the soft whispers of wind through the trees. The air is cooler now, the sky fading into hues of purple and gold. You stand alongside Edward, his face calm but proud, his eyes scanning the field, already thinking of the next steps. The victory at Crecy is a quiet one, marked more by the serenity of the moment than the noise of celebration. The victory is not just one for England, or for the soldiers who fought. It is Edward's. It is the moment when he steps from the shadows of youth into the light of leadership, the first of many victories to come, the first of many moments that will define him as a prince, as a leader, as the Black Prince of England. You're standing at the heart of it all, but you're not overwhelmed by the chaos around you. No, instead, everything feels strangely clear, almost serene in its own way. The sounds of battle, the clash of swords, the screams of men, the thundering hooves of horses fade into the background, becoming like distant echoes, as if they're part of another world entirely. Right here, in this moment, it's just you and the clarity of your thoughts. You have become one with the strategy, your mind sharp and focused, carrying you forward with a calmness that feels almost unnatural amidst the storm. You've trained for this, prepared for this day, and now, as you watch your soldiers move with purpose, you realize that the world around you is simply a backdrop for your thoughts. The noise that surrounds you no longer matters. It's all muffled, softened, and you find yourself fully immersed in the process of command. Your thoughts are steady, measured, almost like a slow heartbeat that keeps pace with the rhythm of the battle. You take a breath, feeling the cool air fill your lungs, grounding you. There's a certain clarity in your chest, a calm that radiates through you. You can see your men, the archers, the knights, the foot soldiers, all working in unison, their movements orchestrated like a grand dance. You know exactly where they need to be. You know what they need to do. The strategy is so clear in your mind, so vivid and exact. It feels like a map you've traced in the air. Each move, each action, falls into place without question, without doubt. Your focus shifts, just slightly, to the men around you. You can see their faces, their expressions determined, focused, but beneath it, perhaps a flicker of uncertainty, the same uncertainty you felt just moments ago, when you first stood on this battlefield. But now, it's different. Now, it's not about uncertainty. It's about control. You are the calm center in a whirlwind of motion, and you can almost feel the ripple of your presence as it steadies your soldiers. The distant cries of battle become softer, quieter, almost like the sound of rain falling in the background. You can't help but think how strange it is that, even in the midst of such chaos, there's this peacefulness within you. It's like the world is moving in slow motion, and you, at the center of it, are standing outside of it all. You are both in it and apart from it. The strategy you've set in motion, the plan you've drawn, the army you've prepared, is unfolding exactly as you envisioned. It's hard to explain. But in the midst of the chaos, there's an overwhelming feeling of rightness. You see the archers drawing their bows, their movements rhythmic and measured. You can almost hear the twang of the strings in the back of your mind, like a subtle hum that guides you forward. The arrows they release are not just weapons, they are the first wave of your strategy, cutting through the air like whispers, each one finding its mark, weakening the enemy's resolve. There's no need to rush, no need to react with panic. Instead, you are calm, waiting, watching, thinking through every step. You know that your men trust you, and that trust is something you cannot afford to lose. The image of your knights on horseback fills your mind. They move forward, slow but steady, almost like a quiet procession. Their armor gleams, but it's not their armor that gives them strength. It's the belief that they're following you, that you are leading them toward victory. Your focus shifts again to the battlefield. The enemy's knights charge forward. Now, their horses' hooves pounding the earth, creating a sound that feels like thunder, but it doesn't unnerve you. You've anticipated this. This is the moment where your archer's work will show its worth. The French knights, so sure of themselves, begin to slow, their charge faltering as they meet the relentless storm of arrows. You can see them in your mind's eye, the arrows finding their marks, the horses stumbling, the riders struggling to regain control. But none of that is important right now. You are thinking only of what happens next. The archers continue to fire, each shot a part of a larger whole, a continuous rhythm that creates an almost hypnotic pattern. You feel their rhythm inside you, a pulse that matches your own. The archers' movements are so fluid, so deliberate, it's as if they are extensions of your will. Every time one of them releases an arrow, it feels like a piece of you moving forward, taking action on your behalf. They are your instruments in this symphony of war, and they play their part perfectly. But as you watch them, your thoughts shift again, and you see the infantry or foot soldiers standing ready, their shields raised high, their swords at the ready, their faces determined. You know they are watching you, waiting for your signal, but you don't need to give it. They know exactly when to move. They have practiced this, just like you have. Everything is as it should be, and the quiet certainty of that fills you with a deep sense of peace. You don't need to say a word. You don't need to shout commands or bark orders. The soldiers know their roles, and they perform them with unwavering precision. You take another slow breath. The air smells faintly of wet earth and the metallic temps of blood. The scent isn't overwhelming, but it's there, lingering in the background. You can feel the heaviness of the moment, but it's not a burden. It's a weight you carry with ease, almost as though it were meant for you, meant for your shoulders. And yet, there's still that undercurrent of something bigger. The very earth beneath your feet seems to hum with the energy of this moment. The future, the kingdom, everything hinges on this battle, on this victory. You can feel the pull of history surrounding you, and it's not frightening, it's reassuring. This is your purpose. This is where you belong. As you look around, your thoughts drift again to the battlefield. The enemy, now beginning to lose ground, retreats, but you know they won't give up easily. They will fight back, but that's part of the plan too. You've anticipated this. They will regroup, they will try again, and you will be ready. It's not about speed or aggression. It's about control. It's about holding steady in the face of adversity, maintaining the rhythm that you've set. The sounds of the battle around you slowly begin to fade, almost as if the world has decided to give you this moment of clarity, this brief time where everything slows down. You hear the beat of your own heart, steady and calm. You feel the strength of your soldiers moving in unison with you. There's a feeling of connection, a sense that, in this moment, you are all part of something much larger than any one of you alone. You feel the familiar weight of your sword at your side, its hilt warm in your hand, the slight tension in the grip as you prepare to give your next order. The sword isn't just a weapon, it's a reminder of who you are, of your place in this world. It's a symbol of your authority, but more than that, it's a symbol of your commitment to this cause, to this battle, to your men. You don't need to think about it. You simply feel it, the way you feel the weight of your thoughts, your plans, your dreams. As the battle continues to unfold around you, your thoughts remain calm, steady. The noise fades, the tension continues to build, but you remain untouched, a quiet center in the midst of the storm. The victory is already taking shape in your mind, and though you know it's not yet won, you can feel the certainty of it. This is your moment, Edward, and it's one you've been preparing for your entire life. In the distance, you hear the sound of retreating enemies, the slow fade of their resistance, and you know that the battle is nearing its end. The strategy has worked. The plan has been executed perfectly. Your thoughts, your calmness, have guided you here, and as the battle shifts in your favor, you let your mind settle into the rhythm once more, trusting your soldiers, trusting your decisions, and feeling the quiet confidence that comes with knowing you've led them to victory. You can almost hear the soft rustle of the royal court in the distance, the steady hum of life beyond the walls of Edward's chambers, the soft clink of armor being fitted, the faint echo of footsteps down the grand hallways, the quiet murmurs of courtiers discussing politics. These sounds mix together, forming the very backdrop of Edward's rise. As you stand beside him, you feel the weight of these moments, each one leading him forward, shaping him into the leader he will one day become. There's a certain quality about Edward, even as a young man, that draws people's eyes. It's not just his noble birth, or the shine of his armor, though both certainly command attention. It's his presence, his steady gaze, the way he carries himself, as if he is already accustomed to the weight of a crown, even though it's still a long way off. His movements are measured, deliberate. He stands tall and proud, but not arrogantly. There's a quiet dignity about him, something that tells you this young prince will one day be a great leader. You see him now, standing beside his father, King Edward III. The king, tall and commanding, looks down at his son with a sense of both pride and expectation. You can feel the weight of their relationship, the bond between father and son. Yes, but also the unspoken pressure. King Edward III has big plans for his son, and in many ways, those plans are already beginning to take shape. The king sees greatness in Edward, but he also knows the journey to greatness is not an easy one. It's a path filled with lessons, some gentle, some harsh, and Edward must learn them all. The sound of armor being adjusted fills the air. The soft creak of leather as it's tightened, the metallic clink as it locks into place. Edward wears his armor with the confidence of someone who has already seen battle. But there's more to it than that. You sense that the armor itself is a symbol of his growing strength, his evolving leadership, his readiness to step into a role that will one day see him leading not just an army, but a kingdom. His father's armor is more ornate, more elaborate, a clear sign of his status. But Edward's armor, though finely made, is simpler, practical. It's a reflection of who he is at this moment, ready for war, but with the humility of someone who knows he has much to learn. You notice the way Edward moves as he prepares for the day ahead. There's a stillness in him, a calm that contrasts with the bustle of the court. His gaze, though sharp, remains steady. Even now, as he prepares to leave for the battlefield, or perhaps for a meeting of lords, he is not distracted by the noise around him. His mind is already in the right place. You can almost hear his thoughts, measured, focused. Each decision he makes, no matter how small, is carefully considered. It's as if he knows, even at this early stage, that every choice, every action, shapes who he will become. As he leaves the chamber, you follow him through the corridors of the palace. The walls are adorned with tapestries depicting the battles and glories of past kings. But there's no sense of grandeur here, no arrogance in the way Edward moves. His eyes are focused, yet there's a softness in his demeanor, a quiet humility, that sets him apart. He is not yet the Black Prince, not yet the legendary figure who will inspire tales for centuries. But in moments like this, you see the hints of greatness, more subtle signs of a man who will one day command armies, win battles, and lead his country with the strength of character that only a true leader possesses. His relationship with his father, King Edward III, plays a crucial role in shaping him. The king is both a mentor and a model, someone Edward looks up to, not just for his power, but for his wisdom. You can sense the deep respect between them, but also a certain distance. The king is a ruler, a man of great ambition, and his expectations for his son are high. Edward, though younger, feels the weight of those expectations pressing down on him, yet he never falters. He listens closely to his father's advice, takes to heart the lessons imparted by the king's steady hand, and knows that one day these lessons will be his to teach. You watch as Edward takes the first steps into his leadership role, It's not through grand speeches or bold declarations. No, his rise is more subtle than that. It's in the way he commands respect, not by demanding it, but by earning it through his actions. You see him in the war room, standing alongside his father and trusted advisors, listening intently as plans are laid out for the next campaign. His eyes never stray, always focused, absorbing the knowledge around him. When it's his turn to speak, his voice is steady, clear. His words are few, but they carry weight. He speaks with the quiet confidence of someone who knows his mind, but also with the humility of someone who understands that wisdom comes not just from the crown, but from the heart. You can see the shift in the men around him. The lords and knights who once looked at him as the young prince, the son of the king, now begin to see him as a leader in his own right. There's a subtle change in the way they address him, a newfound respect that lingers in their voices. They no longer speak to him as a boy, but as a man who will one day lead them into battle, who will guide them through the challenges that lie ahead. The respect is earned, slowly but surely, through his decisions, his actions, and his quiet authority. As you walk with him through the palace gardens, you can see the growth in Edward. His body, once lean and young, has begun to show the signs of a warrior's physique. His arms are strong, his posture more upright, and there's a quiet power in the way he moves. The soft rustling of the leaves in the trees above, the gentle hum of birds in the background, all fade into the background as you focus on him. You can feel the shift in him, the way he has grown from a boy into a young man, ready to take on the mantle of leadership. It's not just his physical presence that commands attention though. It's the way he carries himself, steady, calm, and assured. You can feel the weight of the decisions he will one day make pressing against him, but he never falters. He walks with purpose, but it's a purpose that feels natural to him, as if it has always been a part of him. There is no doubt, no hesitation. He knows that the path to greatness is not easy, but he is willing to take it, step by step, each decision moving him closer to his destiny. The subtle signs of greatness become clearer as he interacts with the soldiers, with the knights who are already serving under him. You see how they look at him not as a distant prince, but as one of their own. They trust him. They follow him not because he is their prince, but because they believe in his leadership. When he speaks to them, it is with a quiet authority, but also with respect. He listens as much as he speaks, always considering their thoughts, their ideas. He understands that leadership is not just about commanding, it's about building trust, earning respect, and knowing when to lead, and when to listen. As he prepares for the next battle, you can feel the weight of the moment. His armor gleams, in the soft light of the early morning, a reflection of the man he is becoming. You notice the way he takes care in donning it, the leather straps tightened with precision, the metal plates fitting perfectly over his form. The armor is not just protection, it is a symbol of his strength, of his readiness to face whatever lies ahead. As the sound of the camp bustling around him fills the air, the faint murmurs of soldiers preparing, the clinking of swords being sharpened, Edward stands tall, his presence steady, unshaken by the enormity of what is to come. In the quiet moments before the battle, as you stand beside him, you feel the gravity of his leadership. It's a quiet strength, the kind that doesn't need to shout or boast. It's the strength that comes from knowing your purpose, from understanding that greatness is not something given, it is something earned. And Edward is earning it, piece by piece, moment by moment, every decision he makes leading him toward the man he will one day become. The air is cool against your skin as you watch Edward, his eyes focused on the horizon, the distant sounds of the camp fading into the background. There is a stillness here, a calm before the storm. But Edward is ready, he is more than ready, and you, standing beside him, can feel that certainty, that quiet confidence, building with every breath he takes. He is not just the son of a king, he is a leader in his own right, one who will earn the respect of his peers, one who will lead with wisdom and strength. The tapestry of his leadership is being woven, thread by thread, and you know that this is only the beginning. You stand before the armor, and even as you do, the quiet power of it seems to reach out to you. The Black Prince's armor, gleaming under the faint light, seems almost alive, as though it holds within it the stories of 1,000 battles. The sunlight catches the polished steel, making it shimmer with an intensity that speaks to both the strength it offers and the mystique it holds. There's something almost magical about it, something that draws the eye and stirs the imagination. You can feel the weight of it in the air, like a presence that lingers even when it's not being worn. That as you take in the sight, the sound of armor clanking softly fills the silence of the room. The gentle echo of metal against metal creates a rhythm that matches your own heartbeat. The Black Prince's armor, though worn by a young man, has become a symbol of more than just protection in battle. It is a symbol of his strength, his resolve, and the quiet fear that it instills in those who face him. It is a reflection of everything he has come to represent: a leader, a warrior, a man of honor, and yet, within its polished plates, a quiet power that speaks to something deeper, something almost otherworldly. Imagine the weight of it as you slip into it, the armor settling around you like an old friend, familiar and firm, yet imposing in its own right. The metal plates, though sleek, are designed to protect, but they do so with an elegant precision. The helmet, dark and full of mystery, conceals your face, leaving only your eyes visible. The shadows that fall over your features are not threatening, but rather enhance the sense of distance between you and those who look upon you. It's as though the very act of wearing this armor separates you from the ordinary world, making you into something more, something different. You can almost hear the soft, steady sound of your boots against the ground as you walk. The armor, heavy but not unbearable, moves with you as if it's an extension of your body. Every step is accompanied by the slight shift of metal, the soft clink of chains and plates, moving in perfect harmony. There is a rhythm to it, a quiet song that marks your presence, like a distant drumbeat that tells all who hear it that you are not just any warrior, you are a leader, a figure to be reckoned with. As you move, the armor seems to reflect both your reputation and the weight of your destiny. The Black Prince is not a man to be taken lightly, and those who see him in this armor know it instinctively. It's not just the craftsmanship that impresses, it's the presence it carries. The intricate design of the breastplate, with its bold lines and geometric patterns, speaks to a sense of order, of discipline, of a mind that sees the battlefield as a place of strategy, not chaos. The gauntlets, polished and precise, offer a glimpse of the man within. There's no unnecessary flourish here, no excessive decoration. Everything about this armor is purposeful, just as Edward is a man who understands that every move must be calculated, every decision deliberate. But the mystique of the armor goes beyond its design and function. There is something about it that draws the attention of all who see it. It is a visual manifestation of the legend that is already growing around the Black Prince. Even though he is still a young man, learning the ways of battle and leadership, the dark steel of the helmet, the rich gleam of the metal, the subtle curves that make it more than just protective, it all serves to set Edward apart. This is not merely armor. It is the embodiment of a warrior's legend in the making. A legend that will ripple across Europe, one that will be whispered in the halls of kings and knights alike. Every time you slip on the armor, you are reminded of the power it gives you. It is not a simple thing. This suit of armor, it is not just a means of protection. It is a key, a symbol that opens doors to greater things. It whispers of battles won and lost, of knights who have come before you, of the long history of warriors who have worn similar armor and carved their names into the annals of history. But it's more than that. It's a promise that you will rise above the rest, that you will lead with the same courage, wisdom, and strength as those who have worn the mantle of the Black Prince before you. The leather straps that hold the armor together feel familiar in your hands as you tighten them. Each movement is deliberate, careful. The metal creaks slightly as it settles into place, the sound of strength. You can almost feel the echoes of the past in the touch of the armor, the countless warriors who have fought for their honor, their kingdoms, and their families. You are part of that tradition now, bound by the same threads that hold this armor together. As you look into the mirror, you see not just a young man, but a leader in the making. The armor reflects your image, but also something more, something distant, something timeless. It is as if, in that moment, the figure before you is not just Edward of Woodstock, the son of King Edward III. It is the Black Prince, a man who will rise to legendary status, whose name will echo across the centuries. The helmet, resting slightly forward on your head, shadows your face, but your eyes shine through, fierce and steady, filled with the quiet confidence that has already begun to define you. Every inch of this armor tells a story. The crest on the chestplate, worn proudly by its bearer, symbolizes more than just nobility. It is a mark of the promise Edward has made to be a protector, a warrior, and a king. The metal, forged with care, represents not just the weight of battle, but the weight of history itself. This armor is a part of Edward's legacy, a legacy that will be remembered for centuries to come. And yet, it is not just the strength of the armor that matters. It is the strength of the man inside it that makes it what it is. You can imagine the soft hum of the battlefield as you step out into the open, the sound of your footsteps muffled slightly by the heavy weight of the armor. The wind brushes against the surface of your helmet, making a soft, whistling sound that is almost soothing. But that serenity is fleeting, because you know what is ahead. The battle looms, and you, in this armor, are prepared. Not just physically, but mentally, emotionally. The Black Prince's armor does more than just protect, it fortifies the spirit, steeling the heart for the trials to come. As you stand, the sound of other knights preparing around you begins to fill the air. The steady thud of hooves, the low murmur of voices, the soft clatter of weapons being readied all blend together into a quiet symphony of anticipation. But through it all, you remain focused. The armor, which once felt unfamiliar, now feels like an old friend. You've worn it enough times now to know how it moves with you, how it responds to your every command. It is an extension of you, just as you are becoming more and more an extension of the legend that is already beginning to grow around you. You move through the ranks, the clink of your armor echoing with every step. The other knights glance at you, their respect for you palpable, even if unspoken. The Black Prince's armor does not just mark you as a soldier, it marks you as a leader. They know it, and you know it. It's not just the metal that sets you apart, it's the way you carry yourself in it. The power of this armor lies in how it magnifies the man who wears it, turning you into something more than just a warrior, into a symbol, a living legend in the making. The quiet hum of your armor, the feel of it against your skin, the weight of it in your movements, all of these sensations come together as you prepare to face the challenges ahead. The armor is not a burden, it is a gift. It is the promise of victory, the mark of a man destined for greatness. The Black Prince's armor is more than just protection. It is power, it is mystique, and it is yours. The air is thick with tension, but you stand firm. The soft rustle of your armor the only sound that surrounds you. You've been here before, haven't you? In your mind, you know the battlefield like the back of your hand. The earth beneath your boots is solid, unyielding, as if it, too, is ready for what's about to unfold. You glance around at your soldiers, their faces a mix of determination and apprehension. But there's something else there, too, something you can't quite place. It's trust. They trust you, and in this moment, you can feel it more than ever. The sun is low in the sky, casting long shadows across the field, but it's not the fading light that occupies your thoughts. It's the weight of what lies ahead. Battle of Poitiers, one of the most defining moments of your life. Your father's army, smaller than the French force you face, is counting on you. You, Edward, the Black Prince, still young but resolute. In the calm of the morning, you can already sense the rise of something inside you. The quiet strength that comes with knowing this battle is yours to lead, and yours to win. As the ground beneath you shifts with the movements of your men, you feel the familiar stir of adrenaline, but there's no panic in your chest. There's no rush. Instead, there's a peace, a stillness, as though you and the battlefield are somehow intertwined, like the steady beat of a drum that guides every movement. The distant sounds of the French army stirring reach your ears, voices in the wind, the creak of leather, the snort of horses, but the noise doesn't overwhelm you. It's just background, like the quiet hum of the world as it turns. You shift your focus to the strategy, the terrain here, the position of your men. It's all coming together in your mind. You can picture the field as if it's a map spread out before you, each movement, each formation, falling into place. Your soldiers stand in position, there, shields raised high, their swords ready, their eyes fixed on you. The French, on the other side of the field, are more numerous, but you have something they don't: strategy. You've watched them, studied them, and now, you know exactly how they will react. This will be a test of your resolve, your leadership, and your tactical genius. As you move among your soldiers, the soft clinking of your armor, the leather of your boots pressing into the earth beneath, becomes a rhythm, a constant presence that anchors you. You can feel the weight of your crown on your brow, even though it's not there. It's in your heart, in the trust of your men, in the eyes of those who look to you for guidance. There's no room for fear, no space for doubt. Not now. You look across the field and take in the sight of the French army, their banners waving proudly in the breeze. The air smells of earth and metal, of sweat and horses, of the imminent clash of warriors. But it's not the smell of battle that fills your senses, it's the quiet hum of purpose. You know what needs to be done. You know that, in this moment, the fate of this battle rests on your shoulders. But you carry that weight with a quiet confidence that seems to grow with each passing second. As the first signals of movement come from the French horsemen beginning to stir, their armor gleaming in the sunlight, you stand steady, watching them, feeling the calm of your decision-making wash over you. The strategy is simple, but it is yours, and it is brilliant. The key to this battle lies in patience, in waiting for the right moment, in knowing when to strike and when to hold back. You give the signal, and the archers, positioned at your command, draw their bows. The sound of the strings stretching tight fills the air, the soft whoosh of arrows as they are released, cutting through the silence. They fly toward the French, their trajectory steady, their aim true. You don't need to look back to know that your men are following your command. You can hear it in the subtle shift of their movements, in the quiet rhythm of the battle beginning to unfold. You hear the cries of the French as their cavalry advances, but you remain calm. The French, so eager to engage, have played into your hands. Your men are ready, positioned just as you planned, and the archers are the key to this victory. The arrows fall like rain, striking down horses and men alike, breaking the French charge before it can gain any real momentum. There's no rush to your movements. Instead, you stand back, observing. Your knights, your infantry, everything is unfolding just as you imagined it would. The French, now floundering, struggle to regroup, their formations breaking apart. You can hear their frustration rising, but your focus remains unshaken. This is your moment, the culmination of your strategy, of your quiet determination. As the French begin to falter, you feel a sense of peace settle over you. The battle is far from over, but your mind is clear. There is no hesitation, no second guessing. You know exactly what to do. You move forward, your men following your lead, the sound of your footsteps steady against the earth. The clash of swords begins to rise around you, but it's like a distant wave, fading into the background as you focus on the present moment. You see the enemy's forces scattering, their momentum lost, their spirits broken. There is no panic in your chest, no rush to claim victory. Instead, you are content to let the battle play out. You know that your men are strong, that they are fighting with the resolve you have instilled in them. The sounds of battle shouts, the clash of steel, the rhythmic pounding of hooves begin to blend into a steady hum, like a lullaby sung by the earth itself. You move through the ranks of your men, offering encouragement where needed, a quiet word here and there. The warriors around you are focused, determined, and they draw strength from your presence. You don't need to shout orders. Your men know what to do, and they trust you. The respect they have for you is evident in their steady eyes, in the way they fight with the same quiet confidence you carry within yourself. In this moment, as the battle rages on around you, you feel a deep connection with your men. The sounds of the world, the clattering of swords, the cries of fallen soldiers, the soft shuffle of boots on the earth are nothing more than a backdrop to the calm inside you. There is no fear, no uncertainty. You have led them here, and now, you will lead them to victory. And then, the battle shifts again. The French forces, broken and disorganized, begin to retreat. The momentum is fully in your favor now. You stand still for a moment, allowing yourself to feel the full weight of what has just transpired. The battle is yours, but it is more than that. It is a reflection of who you have become. A leader, not because you demanded it, but because your resolve, your calm determination, and your understanding of strategy have carried you through. As the sounds of the retreating French army fade into the distance, you feel a quiet satisfaction settle in your chest. You've done it. The Battle of Poitiers is a victory, and it is one that will echo through history. But it's not the victory that defines you, it's the way you led your men, the way you remained calm, focused, and resolute in the face of adversity. It's the way you've become the leader they all knew you could be. The Black Prince, not because of the name you carry, but because of the strength you have shown on the battlefield. The battlefield now begins to settle, the sounds of battle fading as the last remnants of the French forces retreat. The dust begins to settle on the field, and the air grows quieter. And in this calm, you can hear the soft rhythm of your breath, the steady beat of your heart, as the enormity of what has just occurred starts to sink in. This victory is yours, Edward. This is your moment, and it is one that will be remembered for centuries to come. But in this stillness, in this quiet moment after the battle, you know that it is not just the victory that matters. It is the way you stood firm, the way you led with resolve and quiet strength. That is the true mark of a leader. And in that, you have already made your name. The battle was won. Poitiers had been a victory, a triumph of strategy, resolve, and the leadership of a young prince. But now, in the shifting tides of fate, the world has changed. You feel the sudden weight of it, a stark contrast to the exhilaration of victory. The dust settles, the clamor of battle quiets, and in the stillness, there's a shift, a subtle tremor in the air. You, Edward, the Black Prince, the conqueror, now stand in the midst of an unexpected setback. The sudden clash of a sword, the overwhelming surge of soldiers, and the shock of being caught off guard leave you stunned. You are separated from your men, lost in the chaos. The once familiar sounds of victory now turning into something far less certain. The world around you begins to blur as you are surrounded. The cold grip of reality tightens, and you realize that the mighty prince leader of men, future king, is now in the hands of the enemy. You try to shake off the shock, to reach for your sword, to resist, but there's no fight left in you. You're outnumbered. The weight of the situation presses on your shoulders, heavier than the armor you once wore with confidence. Your heart beats quickly, but there's no panic, no frantic rush. The calm of realization sinks in as you surrender to the situation. The air is quiet, almost peaceful, in a way. It's a strange feeling being captured, being stripped of your freedom. The tension that once coursed through you is now replaced by a soft hum of acceptance. You hear the rustling of armor as you are bound, the gentle clink of chains around your wrists, the distant sound of horses and soldiers moving across the battlefield. And yet, within you, there is still a strange stillness, a quiet hum of understanding. This moment, as unexpected as it is part of your journey. It will teach you something you cannot yet fully comprehend. The walk from the battlefield is slow. You can feel the weight of your own steps, each one more deliberate than the last, as you are led away from the place where you stood victorious only hours before. The sounds of your soldiers, your men fading into the distance, is a strange contrast to the overwhelming silence you now feel. There's no triumph in this moment, no cheers or shouts of victory, just the quiet hum of your own thoughts as you reflect on the events that have unfolded. You don't fight it. You don't struggle or resist. The lessons of humility are already taking root, and though they may seem small now, you know they will shape you in ways that only time can reveal. The soldiers who surround you are not enemies. They are men with a job to do, following orders, performing their duty, just as you once did. The realization settles deep within you, and with it, a quiet respect for those who stand on the other side of this battle. They, too, are part of the same world, part of the same struggle. The days that follow pass in a blur of uncertainty. You are a prisoner, but more than that, you are a man whose future is suddenly unclear. The armor that once gleamed with the promise of victory now sits idle, heavy and still, like an echo of what you once were. You can feel the weight of your past decisions, your leadership, your strength, and yet, now, in the quiet of captivity, those things seem far away. You are no longer the Black Prince, the symbol of power. You are simply a man, held by forces beyond your control. And yet, there's no anger in this, no bitterness. The stillness that surrounds you offers something else. It's a chance to reflect, to sit quietly in the midst of everything that has happened and understand it in a way that only this kind of setback can teach you. You are no longer rushing forward. The constant motion of your life has slowed, and in this new pace, you begin to see things differently. The weight of responsibility, the pressure of leadership, it all seems clearer now. From this place of stillness, you can feel the tension in your muscles as the days stretch on. There's no easy answer to the situation you find yourself in. But there's also no panic. You aren't broken by this. Instead, you begin to understand what it means to be truly humble, to accept that not every battle can be won, and not every moment is in your control. Your strength, you realize, isn't just in your ability to lead on the battlefield, but in your ability to accept setbacks with grace, to learn from them, and to rise again. The days pass slowly. You are provided with basic comforts, a quiet space, and time to yourself. The stillness of your surroundings allows your mind to drift, to reflect on the battles you've fought and the lessons you've learned. There is no rush here, no demand for action. It's a time of introspection, a time to grow not as a warrior, but as a man. As a leader, you begin to understand something deeper about leadership. It's not just about winning battles or gaining the loyalty of your men. It's about understanding the full weight of responsibility, the weight that doesn't just come with victory, but with failure. It's about learning how to remain steady, even when the world shifts beneath you. You are learning, slowly, that true strength lies in the ability to remain composed, to stay true to your convictions, even when circumstances seem to be out of your control. The moments of reflection allow you to think about your father, King Edward III, and the way he led with both power and wisdom. You think of the soldiers who followed you into battle, the ones who trusted you and believed in your leadership. In the quiet of your captivity, you realize that their trust was not in the armor you wore or the victories you claimed. It was in the person you were, your courage, your strength, your ability to lead. Those qualities are not diminished by your current situation. If anything, they are refined in this stillness, in the quiet moments where you are forced to reflect on your actions and your role in this larger world. In your moments of solitude, you begin to understand that this setback, this period of captivity, is not the end of your story. It is, in fact, a part of it, a necessary chapter in the unfolding of your destiny. You are not broken by this. Instead, you are being shaped by it. You will return from this experience stronger, wiser, and with a deeper understanding of what it means to be a leader, not just in victory, but in adversity. And so, the days continue to pass, and with them, your understanding grows. You come to accept that humility is not something that diminishes a leader, it enhances them. The humility to accept that you are not invincible, that there will be times when you must bow your head and wait for the storm to pass, is what makes you truly powerful. It's in this quiet time of captivity that the final pieces of your leadership fall into place. You are learning how to lead with wisdom, with grace, and with the calm resolve that will carry you through the rest of your life. Eventually, your time in captivity comes to an end. The world outside has shifted, and the battle you fought with humility and patience has paid off. You are released, and as you step back into the world of warriors, kings, and knights, you do so with a quiet strength that others may not immediately see, but you feel it within you. The lessons you've learned, the quiet resolve you've built, will shape the leader you are to become. And as you step forward once again, you do so with a deep, peaceful humility that will carry you through the battles still to come. The wind is soft against your face as you stand at the edge of the ship, gazing out across the calm waters. It's a clear day, the sky a pale blue canvas above. But beneath the quiet tranquility of the sea, you can feel the excitement stirring. Your return to England is near. The journey that has carried you through unimaginable trials, captivity, the weight of responsibility, and the humbling lessons that have shaped you is coming to an end. As the ship glides through the water, you feel the warmth of the sun on your skin. The scent of salt water mixes with the distant aroma of land, the earthiness of grass, of soil, of home. You have been away for far too long. The familiarity of the air, the sounds of the waves gently lapping against the hull, and the distant calls of seabirds remind you of the world you left behind. But this time, as you approach the shores of England, it feels different. It feels like a new beginning. The ship draws closer to the coastline, and you can hear the distant sounds of the harbor voices calling out, the faint clatter of chains and ropes, the soft creak of wood. It's a familiar sound, one that has always been present in your life, but today it carries a new weight, a weight of anticipation, of reflection. You know the moment you step ashore, the people of England will welcome you. But it's not the noise of the crowds that fills your mind, it's the journey you've taken to get here. You think of your time in captivity, the quiet moments of reflection, the humility you learned, and how much you've changed in those still, uncertain days. Your return is not just about the end of your captivity, it's about the man you have become in the process. You, the Black Prince, once a symbol of power, now stand as a symbol of resilience, of wisdom, of leadership in the face of adversity. The ship moves closer to the harbor, and the sounds of the crowd begin to grow louder. You can hear the murmurs of excitement, the rustling of banners, the footsteps of men and women rushing to catch a glimpse of you. You hear the rhythm of their voices, their joy swelling with each passing moment. There's no fanfare, no trumpets blaring, just the steady beat of the crowd's admiration. They know you, Edward. They know you as the warrior, the leader, the man who stood strong in the face of adversity. And now, you are returning to them, not as a prisoner, but as a hero. As the ship nears the docks, the noise of the crowd grows. You see the familiar sight of the stone walls of England, the towers and the castles rising in the distance. The sight is both comforting and overwhelming. The land that once felt like home now feels different, as if it has changed as much as you have. The scent of the earth, the greenery of the fields stretching out before you, all remind you that this is where you belong. But it's not just the land, it's the people, the faces in the crowd, the voices calling your name. All speak of the respect you've earned, not just as a warrior, but as a leader. They have seen you rise, and they have seen you fall, but most importantly, they have seen you rise again. The ship comes to a gentle stop at the dock, and you step onto the firm ground of England once again. The moment your boots touch the earth, you feel it, this connection to the land, to your people, to your past. The crowds are cheering now, their voices echoing through the air. You can feel the weight of their admiration, but there's no rush, no urgency to move forward. For a moment, you just stand there, taking in the sight of the people who have come to greet you. The sun shines down on you, warm and welcoming, and the breeze stirs the banners that flutter above the crowd. The sounds of the cheering continue to rise, filling the air with an energy that is both joyous and reverent. But even in this moment of celebration, there's a quietness within you. You are no longer the same person who left England months ago. The weight of your experiences, of the battles fought, and the lessons learned, now rests with you. And though you are surrounded by cheers, by faces filled with admiration, you understand that this is not just about triumph. It is about what you've become through those trials, and the strength that lies in the quiet moments of humility that have shaped you. You make your way through the crowd, and the respect in their eyes is palpable. They see not just a prince, but a man who has earned his place among them, not through battle, but through resilience, through the quiet determination that has carried you through the hardest of times. The words they shout are full of praise, and though you are honored by them, you can't help but think back to the days of captivity, to the long nights of silence, and the lessons that came from that solitude. This celebration, while heartfelt, is only a small part of the story. The real journey, you realize, is the one that took place within youth, a journey from a warrior to a leader. The procession continues through the streets, the city of England's heart beating strong in the cheers that fill the air. The rhythm of the crowd's applause is a comforting reminder of the respect you've earned, but it's also a humbling one. You are no longer just the Black Prince in the eyes of these people. You are someone who has been tested, who has faced challenges that have shaped him into something more. The crown on your head, once a symbol of power, now feels lighter, not in its weight, but in its meaning. You wear it not because you are entitled to it, but because you have proven, in both victory and defeat, that you are worthy of it. As the crowd leads you toward the royal palace, the air is filled with the scent of flowers and earth, mingling with the smells of the bustling city, fresh bread from a nearby bakery, the scent of spices carried on the wind. These smells, so familiar, so deeply rooted in the world you have always known, now feel new. They carry with them the essence of home, the reminder that this land and these people are yours. You have returned, not just as the Black Prince, but as a man who has found a deeper understanding of what it means to lead. The sounds of the crowd begin to soften as you approach the palace. The cheers fade into a respectful murmur, and you are ushered into the grand hall, where your father, King Edward III, awaits. The look in his eyes is one of pride, but there's more to it than that. There's an understanding, a quiet recognition of what you've endured. You step forward, and for a moment, you simply stand there, the weight of your father's gaze upon you. You don't need words right now. The silence speaks volumes. The quiet hum of the royal court surrounds you as you take your place. The crowd Outside may still be celebrating, but inside, there's a peaceful calm. You, Edward, have returned home. Not just as a warrior, but as a man who has weathered the storm. You've earned your place here, not through your battles alone, but through the humility you've learned, the lessons you've taken to heart. The Black Prince's return to England is not just the return of a hero, but of a leader who has grown through both triumph and defeat. And as you stand in this moment, the significance of it all settles in. You are ready for what comes next, ready to lead with the strength and wisdom that have come from the most unexpected of journeys. You find yourself standing at the edge of the courtyard, the cool breeze of the morning ruffling the hem of your tunic, the scent of fresh grass and earth filling your lungs. Before you, knights stand in their gleaming armor, their faces hidden behind the cold steel of their helmets, their swords polished to perfection, the sounds of metal against metal, the soft clinking of chains, the hum of movements fill the air. And for a moment, the world outside seems to fade. This is your world now, Edward, one in which chivalry and honor are not just ideals, but the very foundation of your actions, your decisions, and your life. As you watch the knights prepare for the day ahead, your thoughts turn inward. You think of the code of conduct that governs all knights, the principles that guide their every move. It's not just about battle, not just about victory on the field, no. This code, this deep-rooted sense of honor, extends to every aspect of life. It speaks to how you carry yourself, how you treat others, how you show strength, and, just as importantly, how you show restraint. The code of chivalry, the ideals of honor, truth, and fairness, is not just a set of rules to follow, it is a way of life. A knight is sworn to protect the weak, to defend the helpless, to uphold justice and fairness wherever he goes. You feel the weight of these principles like the heavy armor you wear, not oppressive, but protective. They shape you, guide you, and keep you grounded. No matter how great the battle or how deep the challenge, you've seen your own reflection in these ideals. The Black Prince, a man of war, yet a man of peace. You are a warrior, yes, but your heart is bound to these values. You fight not for glory, but for a greater cause. You fight to protect, to uphold the honor of your kingdom, of your people. You fight because it is your duty, your responsibility, not for personal gain or pride, but because it is right. In battle, you are not a destroyer, you are a defender, a protector of the realm. This distinction, this inner strength, shapes everything you do. As the knights around you prepare, you notice their movements, calm, deliberate, and full of purpose. The clinking of their swords, the tightening of their gloves, the adjustment of their shields, all of it is done with precision, with care. It's not just a ritual, it's a reflection of the calm within, the centeredness that comes from living according to the code. They are not just soldiers, they are stewards of a higher ideal, warriors who carry the weight of their promises on their shoulders. You, too, move through the preparations, adjusting your armor, tightening your gloves, feeling the weight of your sword in your hand. You can hear the soft rasp of the leather straps as you adjust them, the slight pressure as the metal plates settle against your body. Each movement is purposeful, each gesture deliberate. The smell of fresh leather, of polished steel, fills your senses, grounding you in the present moment. And then, you stand ready. Not just as a soldier, but as a knight, a man, bound by a code that goes beyond any single battle. The rituals of chivalry are not just about the outward displays of strength, but about the quiet dignity that comes from knowing you have upheld your honor. You are more than the sword you wield, or the armor you wear. You are the embodiment of the values that define you: courage, courtesy, justice, and loyalty. As you move through the camp, the other knights look to you. You see their eyes, filled not just with respect for your rank, but with admiration for the man you are. Your actions, your choices, your very presence speak to them in ways words never could. It's not just the victories you've won, but the way you've led, the way you've held yourself to a higher standard that sets you apart. In this world of warriors, you are not just a leader, you are an example of what it means to live by the code of chivalry. The peacefulness of your resolve stands in stark contrast to the roar of battle that is often heard in the distance. As you walk through the camp, the sounds of preparation echo softly in your ears: horses stamping their hooves, the faint chatter of soldiers, the quiet thud of wooden swords being practiced. But even amidst the noise, there's a stillness within you, the knowledge that, No matter the outcome of any battle, you will uphold the ideals that define you. That is what makes you strong. You think back to the moments when your sense of honor was truly tested. The battles you fought not just against men, but against your own doubts and fears. It wasn't always easy, was it? The weight of leadership, the pressure to perform, to live up to the expectations of those who looked to you for guidance. It could have broken a lesser man, but you held firm. Not because of the sword you wielded, but because of the strength inside you, the resolve to do what was right, no matter the cost. And in these quiet moments, when you stand apart from the chaos, you remember the teachings that have shaped you. Your mother's wisdom, your father's example, the lessons you've learned on the battlefield and in the court. The knights who came before you, those who lived and died by the code, they are your guides. You stand on their shoulders, and their wisdom flows through you like the steady current of a river, guiding you to become the man you are today. As you step into the sunlight, the soft clang of armor against metal rings in your ears, and you realize this code is not just something you follow. It is something you live, each and every day. It is woven into your very being. It is the reason you do not seek glory for yourself, but for your kingdom, for your people, for those who depend on you. You are not a hero because of your victories alone. You are a hero because of the integrity with which you live, the humility with which you lead. You take a moment to pause, standing tall amidst the soldiers who have gathered around you. Their faces are full of respect, of admiration, but also of quiet understanding. They do not look to you simply because you are their leader. They look to you because they see the values that guide youth's chivalry, the honor, the wisdom that you embody. You are the embodiment of what they strive to be. In this moment, the weight of the armor seems light. The sword at your side, though heavy with the responsibility it carries, is no burden. Instead, it is a symbol of the trust your men place in you, the trust of those who believe that, with you leading them, they will uphold the ideals of chivalry, of justice, of honor. And with that, you feel the strength of something greater than yourself, the strength of the code that has shaped you, the code that continues to guide you forward. The battle is near, and your thoughts turn to the field ahead. But there is no fear in your heart. There is only resolve, the knowledge that, no matter what happens, you will remain true to your ideals. You will fight not just with strength, but with honor. You will not let the noise of the world distract you from the values that make you who you are. You are a knight, Edward, a warrior, yes, but more than that, you are a man who understands the weight of honor and the true strength that lies in chivalry. As you move toward the field, your men behind you, the sounds of their steady footsteps blend with the soft rustle of the wind through the trees. The rhythm of battle, the steady march of knights bound by their code, becomes a gentle song that guides you forward. You know that, whatever comes, you will fight not just for victory, but for the honor that lies in every action, every choice you make, and in this, you will find the peace that comes from living by the code that has defined you, not just as a warrior, but as a man of honor. The days pass gently, the seasons shifting in their quiet, inevitable rhythm. You feel the changes, subtle at first, like the first cool breeze that sweeps through the royal gardens, or the faint scent of autumn in the air, just beginning to linger. The once bright, endless energy that carried you through your campaigns and your victories has slowed, softened, like the fading light of a late afternoon. It's a quiet realization, one that doesn't come with sudden shock, but rather with a sort of peaceful acceptance, as though the world has been unfolding around you, and you, in turn, are part of that quiet cycle. The sound of the wind rustling, the trees outside your window, the gentle hum of the palace as life goes on, fills your senses. You are no longer the young, brash warrior that charged into battle with unyielding fervor. The Black Prince, once a towering symbol of strength and resolve, now moves more slowly, his steps measured, careful. The weight of time has settled on you, like the quiet passing of seasons, and you find yourself reflecting more than ever before on the life you've lived, the battles fought, the lands conquered, the friendships and losses that have marked your path. Outside, the sun dips lower in the sky, casting long shadows across the stone courtyard, a soft golden hue painting the walls. It's the same sun that has risen and set countless times before, yet now it seems different to you, quieter somehow. Your health, once a symbol of vitality, has begun to fade. The once sharp, unwavering strength that carried you through years of war is now tempered by a constant, creeping weariness. You feel it in your bones, in the quiet ache that lingers just beneath the surface. Yet, in the silence of this time, there is no sorrow, only a reflection of the quiet passage of your life, the calm fading into a slower pace. In these final years, as you sit by the window of your chamber, the stillness of the world around you provides an unexpected peace. The laughter of your children, and the sounds of your court, the clinking of goblets, the soft murmur of conversations, all seem to exist in a distant world. You've lived through moments of triumph, moments of great loss, and through it all, the one thing that remains constant is this sense of deep reflection. The world continues to turn, and you, Edward, once the central figure of so many battles and decisions, now find yourself at peace with the slow unfolding of time. The legacy of your life, the mark you've left on the world, is no longer something you must fight for. It's already there, settled in the hearts and minds of the people you've touched, of the soldiers who fought by your side, of the kingdom you protected. The Black Prince's armor, your sword, your victories, these things are part of your story, but they are not the sum of it. What remains is the quiet dignity with which you lived, the sense of responsibility that guided you, the wisdom you've gained through your trials. It is the humility you learned through hardship, the lessons of leadership, and the respect you earned from those who once called you their prince. As you lie back on your bed, the soft rustle of the tapestries above you echoing in the quiet room, you think back to the moments when the world seemed so full of promise. The battles of youth, the fires of ambition that once burned so brightly now feel distant, like the fading echoes of a song that once rang loud. Yet, there is no regret. There is only a sense of contentment in knowing that you have lived according to the ideals you held so dearly, honor, bravery, and a sense of duty to your people. These are the things that will live on, long after your days have ended. The faint creak of wood against stone, the sound of footsteps echoing down the hallways outside, signals the steady flow of time that continues to pass. Your mind drifts between the past and the present, between memories of past triumphs and the quiet, peaceful stillness of these later days. The court still moves in its rhythm. Your children, your knights, the people of your kingdom continue their daily lives. You are no longer the center of that storm, but you have come to understand that this, too, is a form of peace. You have created a kingdom that continues on, even in your absence. The seasons change. The first crisp hints of winter creep in, and the long summer days fade into shorter, cooler evenings. You sit by the fire now, watching the flames flicker, casting shadows across the stone walls. It's a familiar sight, one that has comforted you through countless nights. The fire burns steadily, much like the legacy you've built. It's not a blaze anymore, no longer the fire of youth, but a steady warmth that will continue to provide long after the flames have settled. There is no need for a grand final battle, no great last act of heroism. The mark you have made on the world, through your actions and your ideals, is far more lasting than any one victory could have been. The nights are quieter now. The once bustling, ever-active energy of the court seems softer, more contemplative. The chatter of the nobles, the rush of soldiers in and out of the halls, all of it seems a distant memory as you sit in stillness. The palace has grown quieter. As you grow older, and there's a calmness in that quiet, you find peace in the familiar, in the rhythm of life that continues even when you are no longer at the forefront. You are not alone in this quiet moment. Your family is there, your loved ones, those who continue to carry forward the legacy you began. You have lived, and now you are watching the next generation take up the mantle, just as you once did. Outside, the sound of wind rustles the trees, the night drawing closer as the world begins to settle for rest. The soft murmur of the river in the distance reaches your ears, and you think back to the many times you've stood at its edge, watching the water flow past, steady and unchanging. Life, like the river, moves onward, carrying with it the memories, the lessons, the legacies of those who have come before. And as you watch the flickering of the firelight, you understand that you, too, will become part of that flow. The legacy you leave behind will endure, not in the pages of history, but in the hearts of those who remember the man you were, the leader you became, and the example you set. The quiet rhythm of time continues. The fading light casting long shadows over the stone walls. The stillness of these final years is not one of sorrow, but of quiet fulfillment. You have lived with honor, and now you live with peace, knowing that your place in history is secure. Your legacy will not be defined by the battles you fought, or the victories you won, but by the way you lived with integrity, with honor, and with a quiet resolve that will resonate long after you are gone. And in this peaceful stillness, as the world outside carries on, you find solace in knowing that the work you began will continue, carried forward by those who will remember you not just as a warrior, but as a man who lived with honor, who led with wisdom, and who shaped the world around him with the quiet power of his actions. The air feels different now. It is softer, quieter, like the world itself has slowed in reverence. You can feel it in the steady rhythm of the days, the gentle cadence of time passing, no longer rushed, but leisurely, as though the earth, too, recognizes the shift. The quiet sound of footsteps moving through the royal halls is now accompanied by the soft murmur of voices, a kind of subdued hum that fills the spaces where once there had been laughter and lively chatter. In your chamber, the light of the setting sun filters through the window, casting long golden shadows across the room. The warmth of the day is fading, but in its place, a cool stillness settles in. Your breathing is slow, steady, each exhale a quiet reminder of the time that has passed, of the many battles fought, the lands ruled, and the countless moments that have come together to form the life of Edward, the Black Prince. The once mighty warrior, so full of strength and purpose, now lies in quiet stillness. The weight of the years has taken its toll. The body that had carried you through countless battles, the armor that once gleamed with the fire of youth, now seems fragile in the stillness of the room. Your face, once strong and bold, now shows the marks of time-deep lines etched by years, of both triumph and hardship. Yet there is no bitterness in it, no sorrow, only a quiet peace. Outside, the world continues to turn. The faint sound of the wind rustling the trees can be heard, carrying with it the sense of the earth, the fresh greenery of the coming spring. But inside your chamber, there is only the calm, the stillness that accompanies the end of an era. The room is dimly lit, soft shadows dancing on the walls as the flickering light of a single candle casts a gentle glow. Your family, those who love you, are near. Their faces are filled with concern, their voices low and soft, as though afraid to disturb the peace of this moment. They have been with you through every battle, through every hardship, and now, in this quiet room, they stand by your side, waiting, watching, but with no words to fill the silence. Their love for you is evident in the gentle touches, the soft whispers, the way they remain near you. Even in these final moments, the heavy silence of the room is broken only by the occasional soft cough, the shuffle of footsteps on the stone floor. Yet even in the quiet, you can sense the weight of the moment. This is the end, the final chapter of a life that has been anything but ordinary. You have fought for your kingdom, for your people, and now, you must let go. There is no fear, just the gentle hum of acceptance, the knowledge that your time has come. As you lie there, you feel a sense of calm. The pain that once plagued your body is now a distant memory, replaced by a quiet peace. You think back to the years of your youth, the energy that once coursed through your veins, the fire of ambition that burned so brightly. Those days now seem like another lifetime, distant and almost unreal, but they were yours. You lived them. You led armies, built your legacy, and now, with the soft fading of the light, you prepare to leave this world. You think of the battles you fought, the victories won, and the defeats that shaped you. You think of the quiet moments of reflection, the lessons learned in both glory and failure. There were times when the weight of leadership felt unbearable, when the responsibility of the crown seemed too much to carry. But you carried it. You carried it with dignity, with honor, with the strength of a man who knew what it meant to lead, not just with power, but with wisdom. As the days have passed, you have come to understand that it was never the battles, the victories, or the armor that defined you. It was how you lived by the code of chivalry, how you upheld your honor, how you led with courage, and how you remained steadfast in the face of both triumph and loss. Your legacy is not written in the bloodshed of battle, but in the lives you touched, the respect you earned, and the way you held yourself as a leader. both in war and in peace, that the soft ticking of the clock in the corner of the room is the only sound that remains now, the steady rhythm of time moving ever forward. But for you, time has slowed. The urgency of life, the pressure of battles fought, has given way to a quiet reflection. You think of your family, your children, the next generation who will carry on your legacy. You think of your people, the kingdom you helped to shape, and you know that though you will no longer walk among them, your presence will remain in the very heart of England. The faces around you are soft now, blurred by time, but their love and respect are unmistakable. They have seen you at your best, and at your worst. They have witnessed your strength, your wisdom, your courage, and they have also seen your vulnerability, your humanity. And in all of that, they love you, and they will remember you. The name of the Black Prince will live on, not as a figure of distant legend, but as a man who lived with honor and died with dignity. As the night deepens, the room grows quieter still. The candle flickers one last time, its light dancing across the walls, casting long shadows on the stone. You feel yourself drifting, the quiet of the room enveloping you in a soft, comforting embrace. There is no fear, no regret, only the peaceful certainty that you have done all you could, that your life has had meaning. Outside, the wind whispers softly through the trees. The night is still, as though the world is holding its breath in this quiet moment. The stars above twinkle softly, their light faint but steady, like a reminder of all that has come before, and all that will come after. And as you close your eyes, the familiar sound of the world continues, but you are at peace. The life you lived, the battles you fought, the legacy you leave behind, these things will endure, like the steady march of time itself. In the quiet stillness of your final moments, you feel the weight of your life, and yet it feels light, like a fading melody that lingers in the air. You know that your story, the story of Edward, the Black Prince, will be remembered. It will live on in the hearts of those who loved you, in the people you fought for, and in the legends that will echo through the ages. And so, with a final, gentle breath, you let go. The passing of time, the quiet rhythm of life, moves on. But you, Edward, will forever remain a part of it. Your legacy, a quiet testament to the man you were, will live on not just in the battles you fought, but in the quiet dignity with which you lived, and the lessons you left behind. As the years slip quietly by, you begin to feel the distance between the man you were, the Black Prince, and the legend that begins to grow around you. It's a gentle shift, one that doesn't happen overnight. In the beginning, the world remembers you simply as you were Edward of Woodstock, the son of King Edward III, a prince of England, and a hero of battle. But with each passing year, as the ripples of your deeds spread across the land, something begins to change. Your story, once just one among many, becomes something more. It becomes a legend. The world is changing too. Time passes, and kingdoms rise and fall. The clattering of swords on the battlefield begins to fade into the quiet hum of history. But even in these quieter times, the story of the Black Prince endures, finding its place in the hearts and minds of those who long for the days of chivalry, of knights, of battle and honor. The world of your youth, full of conflict and glory, gives way to a new era. But the memory of what you did, of how you lived, remains in the air, like a song that is passed down through generations. The image of you, Edward, begins to take shape. In the minds of those who are not there to see you in action, stories are told in quiet corners of taverns, in the noble halls of castles, in the flickering light of candles in libraries. The facts, those concrete truths, your victories, your battles, your leadership remain, of course, but they are now painted in the colors of legend. The heroic deeds that you performed, the triumphs you achieved, the challenges you overcame, all become woven into the fabric of storytelling. The weight of history presses upon them, turning what was once flesh and bone into something greater, something eternal. You begin to hear whispers of your name, Edward, the Black Prince. You hear it from the mouths of troubadours, the poets who wander from village to village, from town to town, singing of your bravery, of your fierce heart, and of your chivalric ideals. They speak of the battles you fought, not in a matter of tone, but with a reverence that grows with the passing of time. The Black Prince is no longer just a man who fought for England's glory. He has become a symbol, a beacon of courage and virtue in a world that is ever changing. The passages of time blur, and the truth of your deeds is slowly wrapped in layers of myth. The Black Prince, a name that once rang with the sound of hooves on the battlefield, now echoes with the nobility of knights, of valor, of chivalric honor. It's as if your very name carries the essence of those ideals with it. As the decades slip away, the battles you fought, the swords you wielded, become mere whispers of a time long past. What remains, however, is something much greater, the embodiment of the medieval knight, the symbol of the warrior who fights not just for land, but for righteousness. The beauty of legend, you see, is in its fluidity. The facts of your life remain, but the stories grow. As the years turn into centuries, your deeds are told and retold, each time with a new flourish, a new spark of excitement, until you are no longer just Edward, the prince who led his army to victory. No, you are the Black Prince, a figure whose very name conjures images of heroism, of courage, of the perfect knight. And with each telling, the legend grows, the fire of your memory growing ever brighter in the eyes of those who seek to know your story. The idealized image of you, Edward, begins to take on a life of its own. You are no longer simply a man, a historical figure with flaws and uncertainties. You are a shining example of the knightly virtues, your actions in battle now described with a sense of awe. The way you fought, the way you led with both strength and humility, becomes the stuff of legends, passed down through the generations. The knights of later days begin to look to you as a model, a guide for how to live, how to fight, how to uphold the ideals of chivalry. The image of the Black Prince grows, woven into the very fabric of medieval Europe. The songs sung about you become more vivid, more romanticized. You are depicted on horseback, a lion-hearted warrior, your armor gleaming in the sun, your sword raised high in victory. The reality of battle, the noise, the blood, the chaos fades into the background. As the legend of the Black Prince takes its place at the forefront of history, you, Edward, become the epitome of what it means to be a knight, a hero whose deeds transcend time. In the courts of kings and queens, your name is spoken with reverence. The echoes of your victories ripple across Europe, reaching the ears of those who never knew you in life, but who understand that your actions shape the world they now inhabit. The story of the Black Prince becomes a legend of not just England, but of Europe. Your legacy stretches far beyond the shores of your homeland, your name spoken in the halls of castles in France, in the courts of Spain, in the battlefields of Italy. As the centuries pass, the legend takes on new layers. Your code of chivalry, your courage on the battlefield, and your ability to lead with dignity and honor become the qualities that define the medieval knight. You are no longer simply remembered as a prince who fought and won battles. You are remembered as a symbol of something greater, something timeless. Your legacy, shaped in both victory and defeat, becomes a guiding light for those who wish to emulate your life. The romanticized image of you, Edward, takes shape in art, in literature, and in the hearts of those who look back at the past with awe. You are a figure out of a storybook, a man whose name will forever be linked to tales of knights and valor. In the pages of history, you stand as an example of what it means to be both a warrior and a man of honor, a leader who fought not for his own glory, but for the greater good. The sword you wield, the armor you wear, become symbols of the ideals you upheld, and though the battles you fought are long over, the lessons you imparted continue to resonate through the ages. Your name becomes one that is passed down, whispered in reverent tones by the generations that follow. The Black Prince is a figure of mythic proportions, a shining example of chivalry and courage. In the years that stretch beyond your death, your deeds are woven into the very fabric of history, celebrated and remembered by those who hold fast to the virtues you embodied. What once was the story of a man now becomes a legend, a tale of bravery, honor, and heroism that will never fade, that will never be forgotten. And so, as the centuries roll on, the legend of the Black Prince grows, ever more vivid, ever more glorious. The world changes, kingdoms rise and fall, but your name endures. You are remembered not just for the battles you won, but for the ideals you upheld, the chivalry you embodied, and the strength of your character that shines even brighter in the stories told long after you are gone. And in these stories, you live on forever, the Black Prince, an eternal symbol of valor, of courage, and of the undying power of a life lived with honor. As you sit quietly in the dim light of the evening, Watching the shadows grow long and the world outside slip into the peace of night, your thoughts drift. What could have been? It's a question that lingers, like a soft whisper in the breeze, asking what the world would have looked like had Edward, the Black Prince, lived longer. The man who had already shaped so much with his actions, his character, his leadership. What might he have accomplished if time had allowed him to continue? The stillness of the room invites reflection. The fire crackles gently in the hearth, the soft flicker of flames casting their warm glow on the walls. You close your eyes, and in this quiet space, you begin to imagine a future where Edward lives on, where his influence extends far beyond the boundaries of his time. You wonder what might have unfolded in the years ahead, what paths he might have chosen. His story, although brilliant, was cut short, and in that absence, there's a lingering sense of something unfinished, something that could have blossomed into greatness in ways no one could fully predict. You think of his vision, so clear and steady, even in the tumult of battle. Edward had already shown an exceptional talent for leadership, for guiding his kingdom through both triumph and adversity. His presence in England had already begun to steer the nation toward a future of greater strength and unity. What if he had lived to see that future unfold, to shape it further with his wisdom and valor? Perhaps England would have known even more prosperity under his steady rule, his sense of chivalry and justice guiding the decisions that would affect generations to come. As you imagine it, you can almost see it, a kingdom that, under Edward's watch, would have flourished with a sense of stability and peace. His military genius, paired with his deep sense of honor, would have shaped a reign that balanced both the strength of the sword and the wisdom of the heart. England could have continued to grow, its borders more secure, its position in the world strengthened by the calm authority of its ruler. His leadership in times of peace would have been just as powerful as it had been in war, bringing about reforms that encouraged prosperity, a strengthening of the arts, and the building of lasting alliances. Perhaps, you think, the turbulent years that followed his death might not have unfolded in the same way. The struggles for power, the political instability that ravaged England in the years after his passing, these might have been soothed by his presence. With Edward's steady hand on the wheel, the internal divisions that threatened to tear the country apart might have been healed, or at least mitigated. His natural charisma and the respect he commanded from all corners of society, from the nobility to the common folk, could have fostered a unity that lasted beyond his lifetime. You allow yourself to imagine further. What would the Black Prince have done with his future years? Would he have pursued a more diplomatic path, leveraging the alliances he had forged during his military campaigns? You imagine him sitting at a grand table, the glow of candlelight flickering across the faces of ambassadors from distant lands, calmly negotiating terms that would benefit England and the broader European world. Perhaps he would have turned his energy toward the development of trade routes, strengthening the economy and ensuring the prosperity of his people. The same strategic mind that had led armies to victory could have been just as adept in the realm of diplomacy, securing England's place as a dominant power in a shifting world. And what of his legacy as a knight, a symbol of chivalry? If time had granted him more years, could he have ushered in a new era of knighthood, an age where the true virtues of the warrior class, honor, loyalty, courage flourished alongside the changing world? Edward had already made strides in this direction, but his untimely death left much to be completed. Perhaps he would have been the one to restore the ancient ideals of the knight, ensuring that those who took up the sword did so with the utmost integrity, fighting not for personal glory, but for the betterment of the kingdom and its people. You can almost see the grand tournaments, the gallant knights swearing their oaths of honor as the Black Prince watches on, proud of the world he helped shape, a world where the ideals of chivalry were alive and well. And then, there is the question of his family. Edward's son, Richard, became king after his passing, but the young king was not yet fully prepared for the heavy burden of the crown. What if Edward had lived to guide Richard through the tumultuous years of his reign? Perhaps the young king would have had a steady hand to guide him, a father's wisdom to help him navigate the treacherous political waters that eventually led to his downfall. It's easy to imagine Edward, a seasoned ruler, offering counsel, helping Richard find his footing, and ensuring that England did not slip into the turmoil that came after. But your thoughts take another turn, a more personal one. You think of Edward's life, his relationships, the bonds he formed, the way he was loved by his family and respected by his peers. What if, in the years to come, he had found peace away from the battlefield? It's easy to imagine him returning to a quieter life, perhaps to the rolling hills of Woodstock, where he could walk among the trees, reflecting on the world he had shaped and the future he had secured. A man of strength and valor, yes, but also one who understood the importance of peace, of slowing down, of savoring the quieter moments of life. Perhaps, as he aged, he would have become a figure of wisdom, sought out for counsel not just by his family, but by leaders from across Europe, who respected him not only for his victories, but for his profound sense of duty and moral clarity. As you sit with these thoughts, the shadows grow long outside, the sky fading to soft hues of purple and blue, and a gentle stillness settles over you. You begin to understand how the passing of Edward, the Black Prince, not only marked the end of his life, but also the end of an era. His death was the closing of a chapter that had been written in the ink of both battle and peace, a chapter filled with the sounds of clashing swords and quiet moments of reflection. What might have been if he had lived longer is a dream, a wish, one that is not to be but is felt in the very fabric of history. You wonder what the world would have been like with Edward at the helm for many more years. His presence would have steadied the course of England, allowing for a long-lasting reign that would have strengthened the kingdom and its people, securing his place in history, not just as a hero, but as a king who shaped the future of a nation. You can almost hear the echoes of his footsteps through the halls of Westminster, where the sounds of power and resolve would have come from a place of wisdom and experience, not the youthful idealism that sometimes falters in your mind's eye. You imagine the world that could have been, one in which Edward continued to lead, to protect, and to guide his people. A world where his legacy didn't just live on in the songs sung by minstrels or the tales told by old men in taverns. No, in this world, his legacy would have been alive and well, thriving in the very pulse of the kingdom he built. But as you sit in the quiet, with the fire softly flickering before you, you understand. Some things are simply meant to be as they are. Edward's life, though short in the grand scheme of time, was one of great significance. The world he shaped, the changes he brought, the example he set, they remained with us, long after his passing. What might have been is a soft dream, a fleeting thought, but what was, is a legend, a legacy that endures, one that will echo through time, not because it was long, but because it was lived with such grace, honor, and strength. The future he could have shaped is a beautiful thought, but the world he did shape, the one we still carry with us, is more than enough. The world has changed much since the days of Edward, the Black Prince, but his story, the image of the man he was, still resonates, quietly weaving its influence through the tapestry of modern culture. The centuries that have passed since his death have not dulled the brightness of his legend. Rather, they have cast it in a new light, allowing his deeds and his character to speak across generations. You can almost feel the weight of that influence, like the steady pull of gravity, shaping the way we think about knights, about valor, about leadership. His legacy, one born from the battlefield, from a life lived with both triumph and humility, has continued to shape the world long after his time. His story is not just one of medieval conquests and chivalric ideals. It is a story that transcends its era, speaking to modern ideas of heroism, duty, and honor. Even today, when you pick up a book or watch a film set in the Middle Ages, there's a good chance that the Black Prince's influence will be felt. His image, that of the noble knight, stands as a symbol that is instantly recognizably man in shining armor, a defender of the weak, a leader who fights not for personal glory, but for something greater than himself. The stories of knights and chivalry that we still tell, whether in literature, film, or games, owe much to the enduring legacy of Edward. In literature, the figure of the Black Prince has been immortalized, not just as a historical figure, but as a larger-than-life hero whose virtues embody the ideals of knighthood. His bravery, his unwavering commitment to his country, his moral fortitude, all of these qualities are captured in the stories that have been passed down through the centuries. Many of the tales of knights in shining armor and gallant quests for honor are rooted in the very traditions that Edward helped solidify. His story has been told and retold in books and plays, always portraying him as the ideal of what a knight should be: brave, honorable, and just. Even though the details of his life are sometimes romanticized, the essence of his character, the way he carried himself with dignity, his ability to lead with both strength and wisdom, remains a guiding light in these stories. You might even notice how often his name surfaces in modern media, perhaps in films set in the medieval period, or in novels that strive to capture the essence of that age. The Black Prince has become a template, a model for the kind of warrior that we continue to admire today. He embodies a certain timeless quality, the man who holds fast to his principles, who leads with both head and heart. And while we may no longer live in a world of knights and swords, the appeal of such a character still holds. His legend speaks to something deep within us, something that yearns for the clarity of purpose that he so clearly had. There's a quiet power in his image, one that has found a place in everything from modern historical fiction to fantasy epics. The military world, too, feels the quiet pull of Edward's influence. As a military leader, he was ahead of his time. His strategic brilliance, his understanding of the battlefield, and his ability to inspire loyalty in his men all made him a formidable figure. Today, military leaders still study the principles of warfare that he exemplified. The idea of leadership on the battlefield, of commanding not just with force, but with honor, with a deep respect for the soldiers who fight for you, is something that continues to resonate. You can almost imagine modern-day generals quietly referencing the strategies and leadership skills of the Black Prince, seeking to emulate the qualities that made him so successful. His ability to combine military genius with the ideals of chivalry set a standard for those who followed, and his example is one that still echoes in the way that modern military leaders are trained. There's also a certain elegance in how the story of Edward's life has been passed down. It's not just a tale of war and conquest, but a tale of personal growth, of transformation. From the young, fiery prince to the wise and steady leader, Edward's life offers a blueprint for how one might rise through adversity, not only by strength but through a steadfast commitment to one's values. His story reminds us of the power of resilience, of how the challenges we face, when met with courage and dignity, can ultimately become the foundation of our legacy. His rise to prominence wasn't just about his military triumphs. It was also about how he held himself, how he made decisions in moments of uncertainty, and how he maintained his integrity despite the chaos of war. The Black Prince's influence is not just confined to history books or the big screen. You feel his presence in the very fabric of our culture. Think about the way that chivalry and knightly virtue have permeated modern-day ideas of what it means to be a hero. The stories we continue to tell about heroes, whether they are kings or commoners, soldiers or civilians, often reflect the virtues that Edward embodied. The same themes of loyalty, honor, bravery, and self-sacrifice that defined Edward's life are qualities that we still hold in high regard today. They are present in the stories we tell, in the characters we admire, and in the people we choose to look up to. The Black Prince, in his quiet way, has shaped our very conception of heroism. Imagine, for a moment, the quiet strength of Edward's presence in the modern world, the way he stood tall amidst the storms of life, the way he faced challenges with a calm mind, the way he led with both strength and compassion. These qualities are timeless, aren't they? In our everyday lives, we still seek that same balance, the ability to be strong when needed, but also humble and just. We see echoes of the Black Prince in the way we strive for balance in our own lives, in our pursuit of courage, integrity, and wisdom. And beyond just individuals, the influence of Edward continues in the very structure of modern ideals. His leadership modeled the idea that power is not just about strength but about serving others, about protecting those who need it, about ruling with fairness and justice is something that resonates deeply in our political systems, in the leaders we elect, and in the values we hold dear as a society. Whether consciously or not, the legacy of the Black Prince has shaped the way we think about leadership, about what it means to serve, and what it means to truly protect and uplift others. In the arts, too, Edward's influence endures. The very notion of the knight, the noble warrior, who fights for honor rather than for personal gain, has been carried forward in everything from medieval ballads to modern fantasy novels. Characters like King Arthur, Lancelot, and even modern-day figures such as Aragorn from The Lord of the Rings echo Edward's values, embodying a form of leadership and strength that draws directly from the chivalric tradition. The Black Prince's story has become a template for all those who strive to live with courage, honor, and wisdom. Even in today's world of superheroes and fantastical worlds, the core of what makes a hero the willingness to fight for others, to stand for justice, to make sacrifices for a greater good can be traced back to the ideals that Edward embodied. The quiet resonance of the Black Prince is not a loud, overwhelming force, but rather a steady hum that runs through the centuries, quietly shaping our collective understanding of heroism, leadership, and honor. His story is one of struggle, of triumph, of quiet dignity amidst the noise of battle. And though the world has changed, though the battles of the past no longer shape our present in the same way, the essence of Edward's life, the virtues he exemplified, continues to influence us. In literature, in art, in the very fabric of our culture, his presence is felt. The Black Prince lives on, not as a distant memory, but as a symbol, a timeless ideal that continues to shape the world around us. The world around you hums with a quiet reverence, as the great stone castles rise from the earth, their walls thick and steadfast, built to endure the passage of time. The air smells of damp stone and the rich, fertile earth that surrounds them. You can almost feel the coolness of the walls, as your hand brushes against them, the weight of centuries pressing gently into the present. The medieval world, with its lofty towers and fortified walls, is a place where every detail is infused with purpose, every corner echoing with the promise of strength and honor. Outside the castles, the world is vast, untamed, and full of potential. The fields stretch wide, the golden grains of wheat swaying gently in the breeze, a landscape both tranquil and teeming with life. The trees rustle softly in the wind, their leaves whispering secrets of the past, of the men and women who have walked this land before. It is a world that lives in rhythm with nature, with the seasons, where life is marked not just by the passing of days, but by the growth of crops, the birth of animals, and the coming of harvests. The knights, who ride out from these great fortresses, are part of this world. You see them in their armor, shining under the sun's warm light, their swords strapped securely at their sides. The clink of their armor, the sound of hooves pounding against the earth, fills the air with an energy that is both powerful and peaceful, a reminder that their purpose is not just to fight, but to uphold the very codes of chivalry that define them. These knights are bound by a code, one that guides their every action, every thought, and every decision. The code of chivalry is not just a set of rules, but a way of life, a philosophy that guides them in the heat of battle, in the quiet moments of reflection, and in their interactions with the world around them. It speaks of loyalty, of honor, of duty to their lord, to their country, to their fellow knights, and to those they protect. It is a code that demands bravery in the face of danger, compassion for the weak, and integrity in all things. As you walk through this world, you feel the weight of this code, of the virtues it holds. The knights you encounter, each one different, each with his own story, embody these values in ways that are as varied as the landscapes they traverse. Some are battle-hardened, their faces marked by years of conflict, their eyes carrying the quiet burden of leadership. Others are younger, full of the fire of ambition, eager to prove themselves and live up to the ideals they have sworn to uphold. The sound of their voices fills the air, soft murmurs of conversation, the occasional laugh, or the low hum of a song sung in the quiet of the evening. The warmth of the fire crackles in the hearth of the castle, the flames casting their soft glow on the stone walls as the knights gather around to share stories of battles fought, of journeys undertaken. There is a camaraderie among them, a bond that is not just forged in battle, but in the shared understanding of the values they hold dear. The world of chivalry is not just about swords and armor, though. It is also about the way the knights conduct themselves off the battlefield, how they interact with the world around them. The knights are expected to treat others with respect, to be kind and generous, to protect the helpless, and to defend the honor of women and the weak. This code is not just a call to arms, but a call to be better, to rise above the base instincts of man, and to embody the highest ideals of humanity. The medieval world, as you move through it, feels alive with these ideals. The castles, the knights, the code of chivalry, they all exist together, woven into the very fabric of the time. The lands they protect are vast, rich with resources, but also full of danger. The medieval world is one where survival often depends on honor as much as it does on strength, where a man's word is his bond, and where loyalty to one's lord is everything. The days are marked by the rising and setting of the sun, the steady rhythm of life that continues in a way that feels timeless, as though the world itself is following an age-old pattern that will never change. The warmth of the day slowly gives way to the cool embrace of evening, as the sky above fades from blue to soft hues of purple and gold. The stars begin to appear, twinkling softly in the heavens, a reminder that the world is much larger than the castles and fields of England, much older than the knights who roamed these lands. In the stillness of the evening, you can almost hear the soft whispers of the past, the echoes of those who lived and died by the same code of chivalry that Edward, the Black Prince, upheld. You can hear the gallant knights who rode out to battle, their swords raised high, their hearts filled with a sense of purpose. Their lives, too, were shaped by the ideals of chivalry, just as Edward's was. The battles they fought, the victories they won, were not just for their own glory, but for the greater good, for the protection of their people and their land. The medieval world is full of contrasts, of light and shadow, of peace and war, of hope and despair. But through it all, the knights who lived by the code of chivalry remain steady, unwavering in their commitment to their ideals. Their lives may be fleeting, but the legacy of their actions, the stories of their bravery and honor, endure through the centuries. As you continue your journey through this world, you realize that the medieval age, with its castles, knights, and codes of honor, was not just a time of battles and conquest, but a time of deep reflection, of a search for meaning and purpose, in a world that was often harsh and unforgiving. The knights who lived during this time were not just warriors, they were men who sought to live according to a higher ideal, who strove to be better, to be more than what their world expected of them. They were dreamers, in their own way, imagining a world where honor and chivalry could guide them through the darkness. And in this world, Edward, the Black Prince, stands as a shining example of what it meant to live by the code of chivalry. His life, though short, was filled with the virtues that the knights of his time of every time held dear. He fought not just for England, but for a sense of greater purpose, for the values of honor, courage, and justice that continue to inspire us today. His legacy, woven into the fabric of the medieval world, is a reminder that even in the harshest of times, the highest ideals of humanity can still shine through. The medieval world, with all its beauty and brutality, continues to echo in the stories we tell today. The castles, the knights, the battles, and the codes of honor, they are all part of a tapestry that we still carry with us, woven into our understanding of heroism and leadership. And through it all, Edward's influence remains, a quiet reminder of the power of honor, the strength of duty, and the enduring legacy of chivalry. The world around you is still, bathed in the soft light of twilight, as the evening sky fades. Two deep blues and purples, the air, cool and comforting, carries the quiet whispers of history, of all the lives lived and lessons learned long ago. As you sit there, wrapped in the peace of the moment, your thoughts turn once again to Edward, the Black Prince, a man whose spirit, though no longer alive in the body, continues to echo softly across the centuries. In the silence, you feel the presence of his enduring spirit. It's not in the clashing of swords, nor in the shouts of victory, but in the quiet dignity of the life he led, the way he carried himself through the world. His military victories, his tactical genius, his battlefield prowess, all of those things, while significant, are not the heart of his legacy. No, the heart lies in something deeper, something that transcends the armor he wore and the battles he fought. It lies in the values he embodied, in the quiet strength with which he lived, and the lasting impact he left behind, not just on England, but on the very idea of what it means to lead, to serve, and to live with honor. As you breathe in the crisp evening air, you can almost sense the spirit of Edward, calm, resolute, unwavering. His legacy was never just about the wars he won, but about the way he stood in those moments of great challenge. His courage was not loud, nor was it driven by thirst for glory. It was the courage that comes from knowing what is right, and doing it even when the world around you is chaotic. There's a certain quiet power in that, isn't there? A strength that comes not from the noise of battle, but from the stillness of knowing your purpose and holding fast to it no matter the storm. You imagine Edward, standing tall in the midst of his men, not because he was the biggest or the strongest, but because he exuded something more, a calm, a quiet confidence that steadied those around him. His leadership wasn't about commanding from a distance or pushing his men to fight harder. It was about being with them, understanding them, and leading by example. When his soldiers looked to him, they didn't see just a prince, they saw a man they could trust, a man who would stand with them through the fiercest of trials. It wasn't just his victories that earned their respect, it was the integrity with which he fought, and the honor with which he lived. As the night deepens, and the shadows in the room stretch long, you reflect on the lasting nature of his example. The Black Prince's influence isn't confined to the battles he fought, or the victories he won. It lives on in the way we think about courage, leadership, and service. He taught us that true greatness is not found in personal glory or recognition, but in the quiet moments when we do what is right because it is right. He showed us that strength is not about domination, but about humility, about knowing when to lead and when to step back, trusting others to follow. His spirit, you realize, lives on in the values he championed: loyalty, honor, courage, and compassion. It is not bound by time or place. These values, these timeless ideals, continue to shape how we view leadership, heroism, and the world around us. They are present in every story of bravery, in every quiet act of kindness, in every leader who rises not because they seek power, but because they feel a duty to those they serve. The soft sounds of the world outside continue, the wind rustling through the trees, the distant hum of the night. But there is a stillness in your heart, a peace that comes from reflecting on a life well lived. Edward, though long gone, continues to teach. He continues to guide, not with the force of arms, but with the quiet strength of his example. You can almost see him now, standing at the edge of a battlefield, his eyes scanning the horizon, not with the excitement of battle, but with the calm of someone who understands that victory is not just about defeating an enemy. Victory, in his eyes, is about remaining true to your values, true to the people who depend on you, and true to the principles that guide you. His greatest triumphs were not those marked by swords, but those marked by wisdom, the wisdom to know when to fight, when to hold back, and when to lead by stepping forward with integrity. As you reflect on his life, you begin to understand something deeply profound. Edward's legacy is not just in what he accomplished, but in the quiet lessons he left behind. His influence is felt not just in the grand events of history, but in the everyday acts of courage, honor, and humility that we each carry forward in our own lives. The spirit of the Black Prince is present in every moment when we choose to act with integrity, when we stand by our values, and when we lead with compassion. You feel a sense of calm wash over you as the night deepens. The fire in the hearth crackles softly, sending small, fleeting embers into the air. You sit quietly, allowing the peaceful rhythm of the world around you to fill your thoughts, and you realize that the spirit of Edward lives on in every story of heroism, in every act of kindness, and in every moment when someone, somewhere, chooses to do what is right, not for the reward, but for the simple knowledge that it is the right thing to do. As you let these thoughts settle into your mind, you begin to see the truth in them. The legacy of the Black Prince is not a thing of the past. It is a living, breathing influence that shapes the present, that guides our choices, and that continues to inspire us. His story may have been told in the halls of castles and written in the pages of history, but it is also carried in the quiet moments of our lives, in the ways we choose to live with honor, to act with integrity, and to stand by our principles, even in the face of uncertainty. His spirit, then, is not confined to the history books. It lives on in the hearts of those who reflect on his example, in the souls of those who seek to lead, not with force, but with wisdom and humility. The Black Prince's legacy is not about power, but about service, not about glory, but about the quiet strength that comes from standing firm in the face of adversity. It is a legacy that transcends time and place, continuing to inspire and guide those who seek to live with honor and purpose. As the fire begins to burn low, and the quiet of the night surrounds you, you sit in stillness, reflecting on the quiet power of Edward's spirit. In the calm, in the quiet, in the simple moments of life, his example endures. And in that enduring spirit, there is a lesson for us all, one that continues to guide us, quietly and steadily, through the ebb and flow of our own lives,